At the Teachers College, Columbia University, that today carries the name of Dr. Ani Kalayjian on a silver plaque at the entrance, took place an extraordinary event. Dr. Kalayjian was awarded 2025 R. Louise McManus Medal of the highest award given by Nursing Education Alumni Association. Prior to receiving the award, Dr. Kalayjian was introduced by her colleagues, Dr. Deanne Mancino and Dr. Marianne Jeffries.
Dr. Ani Kalayjian is most deserving of NEAA's highest honor. I am going to read a testimonial that was taken from a letter of support that I received from Dr. Harold Katushian. He is professor of psychology and urban studies at Fordham University. And I'm going to quote, because he says it so well, I couldn't have said it better. Even among several esteemed international psychologists in our psychology coalition at the United Nations, Ani Kalayjian, a nurse and a mental health educator, stands out with a reputation as tireless force of nature who has made multiple and diverse contributions to international humanitarian relief over the past 40 years. This includes, now listen to this, 6 key volumes on trauma, mentoring over 100 students and interns at meaningfulworld.com, which is her website, teacher of undergraduate and graduate students, NGO representative at the United Nations, and not least of all, a tireless nurse psychologist practitioner who has led trauma teams to volunteer their expertise in underserved and traumatized populations in post-disaster regions in 50 nations. 2025 marked 36 years since Ani's first global humanitarian mission back in 1989. Since then, Ani has led 114 post-disaster humanitarian missions in 50 nations in 8 regions of the world, including Africa, Asia, Caucasus, Caribbean, Middle East, Europe, Latin America, and North America, and 26 states in the USA. This includes her leadership with colleagues after the 2001 terrorist attack in our own city of New York. Ani has received the American Nurses Association Human Rights Award, Teachers College Alumni of the Year Award, and NEAA's Outstanding Scholarship and Research Award. She has received dozens of other awards, including, most recently, the Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Psychological Association's Trauma Division. And now, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Marianne Jeffries.
I've known Dr. Kalayjian for over 25 years as a TC alumnus and colleague, and during that time I had the opportunity to work with her on several committees at Teachers College and had the privilege to attend Ani's numerous scholarly and humanitarian presentations and events aimed at enhancing public health and eliminating health disparities via a transcultural, culturally congruent approach. Her internationally renowned expertise, commitment, compassion, and vision concerning public health and humanitarian issues are not only in high demand professionally, but in the world at large, making it a better place in extremely difficult times and offering hope to those in despair. Dr. Kalayjian's extensive curriculum vitae and letters of support attest to her accomplishments. However, I would like to highlight a few additional qualities that I feel are exceptionally unique, especially in relation to the R. Louise McManus Medal. Her tireless efforts in times of natural and human-made disasters have reached diverse people globally. Her inspiring leadership qualities motivate other professionals and citizens to become involved on various levels, thus contributing to positive change needed in a tumultuous world. Also recognizing the need to care for the caretaker, Dr. Kalayjian routinely coordinates workshops on creating harmony and alleviating anxiety through a variety of holistic, culturally diverse modalities. I personally attended several of her workshops with colleagues, and we all felt renewed, relaxed, revitalized, and ready to embark on or continue with our scholarly projects to enhance our profession and healthcare. Her work at the United Nations since 1988 provides additional evidence of a long-time commitment and significant contributions in improving and optimizing public health outcomes, policy, and human rights. In addition, I've attended several post-humanitarian effort seminars whereby educational videos depicting her team's interventions and interviews with post-traumatized victims following her interventions are quite compelling and demonstrate the positive difference Dr. Kalayjian's efforts have made in improving mental and physical health and living conditions. I've also had the opportunity to experience and know her scholarly contributions. For example, she was an invited co-author for the core curriculum for transcultural nursing and healthcare chapter entitled Professional Roles and Attributes of the Transcultural Nurse. In 2005, Dr. Kalayjian invited a keynote address at the Transcultural Nursing Society conference held in New York City sparked much dialogue and discussion. Her keynote entitled Global Healthcare, Continued Challenges for Nursing, prompted an awareness of individual and collective responsibility by action to make a positive difference in healthcare among the most vulnerable and traumatized. Her keynote reached all segments of the 500-plus audience of diverse nursing students, clinical nurse, faculty, researchers, administrators, and renowned scholars. We invite Dr. Kalayjian to come up and receive her award and join me in applauding.
Our Louise McManus Medal is given to a person in recognition of distinguished and sustained contribution to the nursing profession.
And it's my privilege to
Dr. Kalayjian delivered a passionate acceptance speech that touched everyone in a room.
It's an honor and privilege. I'm humbled and I'm deeply grateful to Drs. Mancino and Jeffries, who have been my mentors throughout my many years at TC. I greet all of you with love, admiration, and appreciation, this robust group of men and women who are here today. And I'm thankful to my family and friends for joining me. As the sardonic Chinese saying goes, may you live in interesting times. And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, what an interesting times. On one hand, we're celebrating the United Nations 80th anniversary and the UN's 74th anniversary of the Genocide Convention. On the other hand, we have regressed so much that we sponsor, pay for, and perpetuate genocide. Just last weekend, we were commemorating the 110th anniversary of the Ottoman Turkish genocide of the Armenians. I, being a child of survivor, organized an educational program at Fordham University, while some of my colleagues wrote to me saying, don't get us involved, we cannot get involved in the political affairs in light of this current administration. Well, I was shocked and beside myself actually. I was shocked because I found myself thinking about the reasons why my parents immigrated from Syria. We chose to legally immigrate, refusing to succumb to censorship and to dictatorship. We chose democracy, freedom, of a speech and upholding principles of the UN Declaration of Human Rights. Yesterday, the family of one of my clients' friends, including 3 American-born children, were deported to Guatemala with their undocumented mother, who had been working for 7 days a week cleaning American citizens' homes. We don't sit idly by when people, our brothers and sisters, are hungry or being uprooted from their homeland or blown away by brutal weapons or subjected to ethnic cleansing, like the indigenous Christian Armenians in Artsakh, Armenia, under Azerbaijan's ruthless regime. We don't. For over 35 years, we have witnessed human suffering, as well as human resilience, which gives us much hope. As we travel the globe to 50 countries on our numerous missions to uplift those who've been traumatized by natural or human-made disasters and provided mind-body eco-spirit healing, we experienced scorching heat and sweltering humidity, enduring temperature over sometimes 110 Fahrenheit, as we persevered in our outreach work. We drove on roads with holes as big as a vehicle, which brought traffic to a standstill for over 7 hours in Guatemala. We witnessed women with their voluptuous bodies exposed, skirts rolled up, bosoms barely covered, sitting in the ground or squatting all day just to sell a dozen of mangoes in Guatemala, bananas in Haiti, or apricots in Armenia. Their sweat did not just drip, but rather streamed down their bodies, making them seem to glisten in blistering sunshine. They showed no emotion other than despondency, perhaps apathy, learned helplessness, accompanied by an urgency to sell as they soldiered on while valiantly pretending all is well. Thousands of women in the world sit on sidewalks as we speak. At the end of their grueling shift, they barter to get some rice and beans, or if they're lucky, a piece of sausage to take home to their families to feed. Once when I shared our work in junior high school here in Brooklyn, New York, an 8th grader asked me a poignant question. I had just shared how the torture methods I witnessed in Sierra Leone and in Rwandan genocide were exactly the same as those my grandmother had told me about the genocide in 1915, the Ottoman Turkish genocide of Armenians. And he said, "What gives you hope to continue your work when 100 years later, governments are still committing the same violence and the same torture methods?" We are asked this question a lot. In fact, I ask the same question of myself when I'm faced with man-made disasters, destruction, denialism, dualism, dysfunctional administration, and systemic violence. My Armenian ancestors endured being exiled en masse. They were driven out of their homes, forced to walk for months in the Arabian deserts on a march to their death. Where is God, I wonder, when I'm working in these traumatized countries? But now I finally realize that all of our humanity, every nation has experienced the pain and sorrow of being uprooted, conquered, and destroyed, only to start building all over again. But caution, when we don't transform the pain and suffering and trauma, we tend to rebuild the same dysfunctional system over and over, and then chant, "never again." Yet at times it may seem hopeless, but we at Meaningful World don't give up nor give in. We continue our dream of a peaceful and meaningful world, connecting with one heart at a time, one person at a time, one event at a time. Yes, I cry. I cry a lot. My interns, they're surprised. They say, 35 years, you're still crying? I get sad, frustrated, and disappointed, and then I get up, stand up, and continue the positive struggle to create a meaningful world, nurtured by passion, perseverance, persistence, prayer, and purpose. Yes, what energizes me is steadfast women and men such as Louise McManus, the first PhD, Dr. Viktor Frankl, a former UN Secretary General, Dag Hammarskjöld, who declared, unless there is a spiritual renaissance, the world will know no peace. In fact, I'm getting the chills because 70 years after he uttered those words, they are more relevant now than ever again. Another pillar is Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt, the first chair of the UN Commission on Human Rights, who said, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act toward one another in spirit of brotherhood. As Dr. Martin Luther King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. As I sequester myself to reflect, balancing the good and evil, weighing the positives and negatives that I witnessed, I remain in awe as I ask myself, do we really need evil to appreciate the good, ladies and gentlemen? Contrast may make life rich, but the sharp contrast between the haves and have-nots, the victors and vanquished, puts injustice in stark relief. I believe we are all called to address these wrongs to the best of our ability. And no matter how many breaks the world might stack up before us, we must not be daunted or deterred from continuing to swing the hammer of righteousness with full force of faithful heart. Everyone is talking about AI, artificial intelligence. What about EI? I was refreshed to see some papers on that. Emotional intelligence is the foundation. Humanity is rotting with the ill foundation. We need a revolution in EI to transform the hearts of our leaders so that they learn positive lessons like Dr. Frankl insisted, one lesson at a time, as a stepping stone to achieve the true peace through empathy, forgiveness, and love. Thank you so much, ladies.
To celebrate and to add to the fun, friends and colleagues delighted Dr. Kalayjian with a bubbly package. The event concluded with group pictures that included all awardees of the day. Congratulations to a compatriot, lifelong humanitarian, and indispensable member of the Armenian community, Dr. Kalayjian, with this incredible achievement.
I'm just grateful. I'm speechless. I really poured my heart out in sharing the status of what's happening today and what we've been doing for 35 years, committing to emotional intelligence and lifting people from their challenges and their traumas and their disasters and helping them with many different modalities And we do it with love, passion, perseverance, persistence, with purpose and prayers, because it's such a challenging situation all around the world, not just in America, but in all around the world. We see the calamities, and we also see the human spirit of resilience and strength and post-traumatic growth, which we call in psychology. And I celebrate all those survivors that have taught me the lessons that I share today, in that when one helps another, we both become stronger. And that's what we stand at Meaningful World. And this being around alumni, and this is my university, Teachers College, Columbia University. I got my master's, doctorates, and got my name on the wall at the entrance. Is just my home. And I am just back home, and I feel really loved, appreciated, and validated, which means a lot to me.